you know what, it's probably the best one I've done so far. So really good tutorial from Oksana. The only reason I can do it is because she's explained it so well. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am going to be doing a little bit of something different, a wire wrap. I haven't done this for a while, so my skills are probably rusty. This thing is still sharp, so I've got to be careful. I've got an injury, so I can't really use my left arm and hand as well as I would like, so it might prove difficult for this, but at least I can do this rather than carving where I use my hands a lot more. So here we've got my Obsidian Arrowhead, and I've looked around online and I like a design by Oksana Craft. She called it the Scarab Pendant. It was one that she did on a non-arrowhead, but she's done it on an arrowhead as well, and I really like the look of it. She actually did it with a piece of Obsidian Arrowhead as well, so it's very similar to this, but hers was much bigger. So I'm not going to have to use as much wire, so I'll shorten things. I don't know how well I'll be able to explain the process, but hopefully well enough that people can follow along, just like I am with Oksana's one. Now, is this going to be a classic case of she's made it look way too easy and I bite off way more than I can chew? Most likely, but we're going to do it. It's going to involve 2 lots of this wire, so this is a 20 gauge, and I'm also just going to use this wire because I like the look of it. It's like a black coated copper wire. I think it's still copper on the inside. So I'm going to combine these. I need 2 lengths of this one and then 1 of this one just to wrap around a little part. I'm not going to pre-cut this one. I'm going to keep this one on the reel because I'm not going to be able to judge how much I need. This one here, I'm going to cut into 2, I don't know, maybe like 6-inch lengths or something. It might be way too long, but I'll cut it there and see how it goes. All the other tools that I'm using, all I'm going to need, hopefully, are my favorite little, don't even know what you call it, bent nose pliers. These ones, which are just all the way round, and then just some little clippers. The rest of it is just going to be done with the hands. So wish me luck. Let's cut this up and see how it goes. All right. So starting off with these bigger wires, step 1 is to look at the stone and decide which side you want the face. I want this to be the face because the other side has one little dull flat spot right in the middle there. So if this is the face and this is the back, we want to just kind of gauge where the middle of these 2 wires are. So if I just go like this, the middle's somewhere about here, they're about 3 inches on either side then. And we just want to take that center point and chuck it probably right where that flat spot is actually. Maybe halfway down, somewhere about here. So now while holding this in place here, we'll keep these wires pretty straight and we'll just push them around to what will be the front. So back to front. Back to front. Now the sharpness of this arrowhead is hopefully going to hold this in place pretty well. So we'll flip it over now, we've got them both here, and we want to kind of curve them so that they meet in the middle and go up this way, all 4 strands. So we'll make sure that this is pretty snug, and then in the middle here, middle of the arrowhead, we'll just start to bend it upwards like this. So like that, and we'll do the same with this side, bring it over, they meet in the middle and bend upwards. So something like that. I can already see that I've gone a little bit off on this side. I need the wire to come down here more and then up, so I'll just tweak that. Down more and up. Maybe it's easy to do this with 1 wire at a time. But we've got it now like this, and we've got the 4 wires going up. We'll have the 2 inner ones. So choose 2 inner ones. So they're the ones that are on the bottom edge of here. So on the back here, it should be that bottom wire. They're going to be the 2 inner ones that go straight up. These 2, we can have them come out to the side a little bit more. So like that. Should be 4 distinct lines. So there's our 4 thick coppers. Now I'll cut the length of, well, I won't cut it, but I'll grab the thin wire and we're going to start doing the actual weavy. Now for the tricky part. We've got this in place. What we want to do is we want to use this thin little wire to weave all of these 4 together. Now if we look at the stone here, between where my fingers are here, where it all meets, and then where those notches are, between there and there we want to weave all 4 wires together, and then we're just going to weave these 2 center ones all the way up to form the bail. So ideally we take the stone out of place here, try to keep this all together somehow. And then this end, we're just going to put between these two first ones here. So in between going downwards. I'm going to hold that with my other hand like this. And then somehow we're going to get this to go around the first one. Having trouble because it's moving the other, trying not to move all of these other ones. I might have to do this with the stone in place actually. Somehow Oksana can do it free from everything, but me, I'm going to struggle. So let's try to straighten this back out a bit. So I'm going to modify it. I'm going to keep it on the stone like this, how we had it before. I'm going to feed this wire through here. It's just going to get clipped off. So between 1 and 2, we'll just pinch it in here somewhere. And now we will wrap once around. And then back down. So we've just done one loop of this one here, just once around. And then on our second time around, we're going to go in through here. And then wrap around this one. So hopefully I've done it correct and we can go all the way around over here. And then I'm struggling to get it past this stone, so now I think we'll take that off. And we'll push it down there. It's alright, I'll squidge it all down again later. So around that second wire, back down again. And then same thing again, just like we did with the first. So we've gone around, around. Now we're going to go to the third one, around, fourth one, around. So now we're going between here, down, up, down, right around here. Now we're on the other side and do one loop around here. So if we zoom right in, and have a look here, you can see here, and it's got that little ladder effect that goes upwards. We don't need to worry about that right now because I can use these little hooky pliers and just grab the entire face and just push it all down once we've got a couple loops going. But now that we've got that done, hopefully that all the wires are kind of in place. We can make sure that the stone still goes back in there. Perfect. Just like that. Good stuff. Now I don't need to worry about this end part, but we won't clip it off just yet. We'll keep it there for now. From here, we want to modify it slightly. So now instead of just going around this one, we're going to go around these two. So this wire is coming from way outside here, all the way up, and then between these two center ones. Now Oksana does a thing where she kind of puts the wire in place like this first, and then goes up and over and then down. And I think it gives it that nice little memory that that's where it wants to sit. When I first started wire wrapping, you end up with a lot of these little kinks. You end up with a lot of kinks where you've pinched it where you don't want to. And I think that avoids it. So if you put it in place and then do the loop and put it in place, then you're much better off. So here we've just gone around those two. Now we'll go around this one. So back in through this gap, and then we'll go up and over, skipping one gap and going to this one here. So once again, up, over, down, all the way across, and then just down this one here. Down there like that. And then back around just this one, and then across. So skipping that one gap, all the way across. And that's it. And now you can see, if we zoom in, we've got this cascade going up and then going down. That's when I think is a good time to grab our little bent nose, pinch it here, pinch it up there without doing too much damage to the copper, even though it's going to be covered anyway, and just pushing down. And there you go. Instead of just having like this ladder effect up and zigzagging across the entire thing, we just want it to be a bit closer together. Now, on our way back up this way, we want to do the same thing. We're just going to go in between each of these. So in, around, across, in, around, not skipping the gaps this time. So in, around, and then on the way down, we're skipping that gap, going through, skipping that gap, coming through, skipping that gap, coming through. So it really is a mirror image, because technically you're skipping a gap in the opposite direction, but to the back instead of to the front. And on the way back down this way, we're skipping one gap in the front. So quite an easy pattern. I'm going to do that until I get up to here somewhere, and then I'll be back and we can keep on going. Alright, you can see there what I've done. Now, when you stop is when you can do this. So these two outer ones, I'm taking them out and I'm putting them so that they go into those little arrowhead notches that we put in. So we just want these to be able to go through those notches. So I think we've done it far enough. It didn't take very much because I started it quite high. If you start lower, you're going to have to do this windy thing for a lot longer. But for me, that's about right. I just checked it by putting those there, but we don't want to wrap it around yet because we've still got more to go. All of this is going to turn into the bail. So it's going to go up, loop back around, and then reconnect onto basically these arms that come across. Or we can link it all the way down to the bottom here. Either or. In both cases though, we don't want just two of these copper wires going up. We want to continue this black wire braid all the way up here. So we'll take the stone out again. And it's not overly complicated. It's probably easier than that first lot of wire wrapping. So all I've done is I've left this where it's come through here. Now it's around that first one again. And we're going to loop over to between these two. And now I've straightened these two up so that they kind of run parallel to each other. We want to go down through here just like we were doing on the way up, around, so that you've got the wire on this side, around, same as before, just down the middle. And now, instead of going all the way across and wrapping around this one, we're ignoring this one now. So we're going from here and we're just wrapping across these two front ones. So just like that, across those two. And then we're just going to do single loop across both. And we're just going to keep repeating that process. I'm going to have to go to, I don't know, somewhere up over here somewhere, so it's going to take a while. I'll jump ahead in the video, but once we've got all that done, I'll be back. Okay, home stretch. So we've done this wrap around the middle too. I feel like I shouldn't have compressed it so much. I wanted to see more of that raw copper between each of the windings, but that's okay. It's nice and tight, nice and snug, so all good. Chuck the stone back in place. Now we just want to deal with these little arms going across here and getting this bail put in place. So first step is going to be these little arms grabbing onto the little notches. So just through each of those notches on both sides. Just like that. Flip it over, you can see them here. Now we're just going to go directly across to the other notch. So just straight across to the other notch. So basically this wire's come from this bottom one, just wrapped, oh no, maybe it's the top one. So that top one there has gone around, been tied all together, and then just straight around all the way across. So leave those there for now. Hopefully I didn't do too many of these winds. I got a little bit carried away. Now you can bend it around using something like this, but I want a nice long arching loop. So I'm just going to use my fingers and hopefully just get it to go all the way around. It actually opens up a little bit here, so I can see a bit of that raw copper as it stretches out, which is nice. And we're going to have this aiming these two ends to go underneath this. So if we just bend it in a little bit like that, you can create a little bit of space here if you really need to, but I think I'm going to be able to thread under if I can just give it a little bit of a lift. If not, what you can do is just grab something like these pliers and just pinch up. I've seen this done on a lot of wire wrapping videos before. It doesn't really do too much damage at all. It's getting there now. There we go. So we're getting both of those under here. We want to get them all the way through because we need a little bit of length there, whilst also focusing on this bail arching around here. Get it nice and rounded, something like that. So that's where you're going to be able to thread your necklace around. And here we've just got these little bits sticking out the bottom. So what we want to do is grab our little pliers again. You don't have to use the bent ones for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to loop these back up and over these two and then wind them back around and then clip them so that the ends just kind of hide underneath there somewhere, right where they came from. So if I can just grab them, Grab the long one first, nice and easy. Oh, got the short one by accident at the same time. Bring them up and over. It's hard to see because everything's copper colored now. And I'll just push them. They're still fairly soft. I haven't worked them too much. And I reckon this one here, this shorter one, is about the right length. So I'll just clip the longer one to match. Really good clippers, those ones. And copper's pretty soft. So now you've just got those two just chilling. Now if they're chilling like that, and this is up against your skin, even just doing this, you can feel it catch just there. So we do want to wind these back in. So we'll just use these ones, I think, and wind them back in like this. Might also just need to push them back around so they go in under. I can probably actually pinch them this way and get them to go right in underneath. And that way, they can't get caught on anything, and now you've just got that nice curved, rounded edge potentially rubbing up against skin, which is much better. Now this bale's coming across a little bit crooked, so let's get that right before we set these ones here in stone. Because here, all we're gonna do is just take these and then bring them so they come up towards us, just like that. And similar to what we did here, where we wrapped around and then pinned them in, these ones we're going to wrap around this central bar that comes through, wrap them around and loop them so that they go in under that little gap there. That's it from the back. And I think the black and copper look is my favorite. I've done it previously in the past. Actually, I've got a little wire wrap over here that I did ages ago. And here you can see that the copper really, really tarnished up. That's a pink Australian opal from Queensland. So yeah, the copper does look like it gets a bit aged and vintage, probably because I touched it so much, and that's just oxidization. Whereas these black ones, this coating has got not too many issues when it comes to oxidizing. If you do scrape a little bit off, you'll get the raw copper under. And this one here will probably oxidize because of how much I've handled it. I'm sure there's some sort of coating you can put on it to protect it from that, but for now, that's it. I'm quite happy with that. That's worked out well. That's a three wire wrap, which is the first time I've done that. 2 thick ones and 1 thin one. And you know what? It's probably the best one I've done so far. So really good tutorial from Oksana. The only reason I can do it is because she's explained it so well. It is a fairly nice, simple wire wrap. Easy to understand what's happening and why. So I do like those kind of ones, and yeah, I'm done. Didn't even feel the slightest pain in my shoulder, so maybe wire wrapping is something I can pick back up while I'm injured, and hopefully I can get a few more done. On that note, I'll catch you guys in another video. I'm still working away, we're just taking it a little bit easy, but I'm still going to be able to do stuff just like this, so real cool. Catch up.